Technology Intervention for Students with an Emotional Disturbance by Catherine Cable. The following presentation will define emotional disturbance in assistive technology. It will also provide ideas for assisting these students in the classroom. So what does it mean? Emotionally disturbed is considered a blanket or umbrella statement. It is a term used by the law and in the Individuals with Disabilities Act, or the IDEA. Students with an emotional disorder might have the following: conduct disorders, eating disorders, bipolar or manic depression, OCD, psychotic disorders, or even anxiety. And the website I've listed below is the nichcy.org website. It is funded by the government and it gives definitions and more specific characteristics behind conduct disorders, eating disorders, what those might mean. And it also gives helpful websites for people dealing with individuals with emotional disturbances, bipolar, manic depression, etc. As defined by the IDEA, emotional disturbance includes schizophrenia, but it does not apply to children who are socially maladjusted unless it is determined that they have an emotional disturbance. And this is taken directly from the IDEA. And it basically means poor or unusual behavior does not always constitute emotional disturbance. And those types of occurrences are not defended by the IDEA. So, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act states it as follows: it is a condition exhibiting one or more of the following characteristics over a long period of time and to a marked degree that adversely affects a child's educational performance. So, a student with an emotional disturbance might have an inability to learn that can't be explained by intellectual, sensory, or health factors. A person with an emotional disturbance may not be able to build personal relationships with peers or teachers. They might have inappropriate types of behaviors or feelings under normal circumstances, or a persistent feeling of unhappiness and depression. They develop physical symptoms or fears associated with personal or school factors, meaning they might have a stomach ache before PE, or they might feel anxiety with an increased heart rate. And this is also taken directly from the IDEA legislation. This was another great resource I found. It's the National Alliance on Mental Health, and it pretty much sums up what an emotional disturbance is because it is a type of mental illness. And the quote says, mental illnesses are medical conditions that disrupt a person's thinking, feeling, mood, ability to relate to others, and daily functioning. Just as diabetes is a disorder of the pancreas, mental illnesses are medical conditions that often result in a diminished capacity for coping with the ordinary demands of life. I felt like this was a good connection to the physical illnesses that we can see that we agree are medical conditions. The same is true for a student with an emotional disturbance. They do have a medical condition and do need adaptations to help them function in a classroom. Excessive, that is a key word for this slide, and for students with emotional disturbance. So some children might demonstrate emotionally disturbed behavior at certain points. However, children with true emotional disturbances have symptoms over long periods of time, and that is the key. It has to persist over a long period of time. Characteristics of a student that is emotionally disturbed might include hyperactivity, aggression or self-injury, withdrawal, immaturity, learning difficulties. They usually will perform below grade level. Severe emotionally disturbed children might have excessive anxiety, odd motor acts, or abnormal mood swings. And once again, the NICHCY website has a more specific, detailed list about what it might look like if a student has aggressive or self-injury behavior, what it would look like for withdrawal and hyperactivity in an emotionally disturbed student. Causes and frequency. This was a really interesting point that I found. The causes for an emotional disturbance are actually unknown. However, certain factors actually could play into the development and occurrence of emotionally disturbed behavior, such as heredity, a brain disorder, diet, stress, and family functioning. But keep in mind that none of those things that I listed are direct causes. So the causes basically are unknown. Frequency. The CDC claims about 8.3 million children under the age of 18 have talked to healthcare providers about an emotional or behavioral issue that is bothering them. Assistive technology. This was another great resource I found. It's the Assistive Technology Industry Association. They define assistive technology as the following: it's any item, piece of equipment, software, or product system that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of individuals with disabilities. Inclusion. A large part of helping emotionally disturbed students is making them feel included. Students with emotional disturbances already struggle to build and maintain relationships in the classroom, so a teacher will need to take specific steps to ensure that they feel included. Teachers should also include proper accommodations to limit isolations. When planning accommodations, teachers need to keep in mind the side effects from medication, concentration and memory difficulties, and behavioral unpredictability. I refer to this as triage. What might need to happen is a teacher will have to meet with the student to determine how their day is going, what needs to be fixed, what needs to be changed to meet their needs at that moment, so a meltdown can be avoided. So the first three assistive measures I'm going to list will focus on academic assistive technologies, and the last three will be on behavior assistive measures, since emotional disturbance does affect behavior in a great way. So my first one is EduCreations. It's also available as a website, educreations.com, and it can be downloaded as an app for an iPad. It's free. It allows educators to record lessons for playback later. It's great as a refresher or reteaching as needed. It is a high-tech intervention, so students will be using the computer, the teacher will be using the computer or the iPad. And EduCreations also allows for pictures, videos, and documents to be loaded onto the application for use within the lesson. You can manipulate those things as you are teaching on the screen as well. Here's a screenshot I decided to include so you could kind of get more of a feeling of what I was talking about. This is a screenshot from EduCreations. You have different pen colors, your eraser, to move items around the board. It gives you the option to record, to undo, add images, and multiple pages. If you're familiar with the Smartboard software, this is also very similar to that. Assistive technology number 2. I decided to use LiveBinder because this is another high-tech intervention. It also uses iPads or computers and provides safe internet browsing. It's a great resource to help support content. It provides safe internet browsing because teachers are allowed to control the content. When you click on either one of these tabs that you see below, it will take the student directly to a link. So there is not a whole lot of web searching, Google being involved. You know what the student is looking at and what they're reading, and then it is specifically geared towards their level. So you could actually create a tab for each one of your reading groups, each one of your students, with specific information geared towards their level. Assistive technology number 3 is a timer. This is a really good low-tech intervention, and it's cheap. It helps students who do not like to do a task or they're overeager for the next thing to begin. They can get a mental picture and a physical picture of how much time they have left on the task. Assistive technology number 4. This is the beginning of our behavior support interventions. And the first one is a low-tech or no-tech intervention. And it basically just says establish routines and schedules. Create a stable environment. Basically have all your ducks in a row so the student has a sense of predictability when they're in your classroom. The second one I put on the slide says present academic tasks in an approachable manner. Provide students with equal access to the curriculum, just as we have learned that the IDEA Act requires. Allow students to feel involved and a part of the classroom so they're not feeling isolated. And these can be done with no tech, low tech, all the way to high tech, depending on what the student's needs are. The EduCreations and the Live Binder I mentioned before are great ways to allow students access to the curriculum. Assistive technology number 5. This is a very low-tech intervention, but it works great. And that's just establishing expectations. They can be posted on walls, desks, charts, or they can even be reminded verbally. And also make sure that there are clear consequences if the expectations are not met, and there are also attainable rewards for if the expectations are met. Attainable is the key word because students need to know that they can actually make it to that reward, that they can get that time with that desired object. Assistive technology number 6. This could be low tech, high tech. You could use Classroom Dojo to do this, and it's basically a reward system. You can use points, tallies, smiley faces, pretend money, and the reward can be time with a special item or special recess toys. It's up to the teacher basically and the student. Knowing your student will really help this to be the most effective, knowing what they enjoy and what would be considered a reward for them. And my final slide in the end of my presentation, here are the resources that I used. A lot of great organizations providing a lot of essential information on emotionally disturbed students and characteristics and what teachers can do and caregivers can do to support them the best way possible.